Take a closer look at that. Mark Hitchcock is a biblical scholar and author of numerous books related to the end of times. His latest is called Iran, the Coming Crisis, Radical Islam, Oil, and the Nuclear Threat. Mark, good morning to you on this day, 6606. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you. It's good to be with you this morning.
Mark, talk more about the evidence as to why the Bible associates this number 666. As we mentioned, it's in the book of Revelations, but it seems sort of an obscure relation to most people who don't maybe study theology.
Well, the number 666 is found in the Bible in Revelation chapter 13, verse 18, and it has no relationship to a day, to a particular day on the calendar. 666 in Revelation 13 is the number of the name of this beast or this Antichrist figure. In ancient Greek and Hebrew, letters in the alphabet each have a numerical value associated with them. And this mark of the beast means that, or this number 666 means that when you add up the numbers associated with these letters, that this person's name, when he appears, will equal 666. And so, of course, with this person being the final great world ruler, the Antichrist, indwelled by Satan himself, there's obviously a lot of fear and superstition that surrounds this number.
Superstition, that seems to be the bottom line to this date in terms of what you just said there. Let me ask you, though, your latest book, you describe the crisis in the Middle East as one like the world has never seen before. Sketch out how the situation we see unfolding today, in your view, or the views of others, relates to prophecy.
Well, the super sign that I call it really of the end times is the regathering of the nation of Israel that took place in 1948. You have Israel back in their land after being absent for 1900 years. You have the Roman Empire being reunited, the core of it, in the European Union, 25 nations now with 500 million people. You have really the Middle East is the focus of the world. It's the #1 crisis in the world right now, with oil being there, 2/3 of the world's proven oil reserves in the Persian Gulf area. You have Islamic terror there, of course, the nation of Israel. And Ezekiel 38 and 39 prophesy that in the end times a coalition of nations, including Russia and Persia, it's called in Ezekiel 38, which is modern-day Iran, that this coalition of nations that are all Islamic today other than Russia will come down into the land of Israel in the end times to attack Israel. And what we see developing in Iran today, really it's not too difficult to envision that happening in the not-too-distant future.
Mark, I want to lighten this up for just a second because I want to relate to my own personal profession on this one. People often ask me, isn't it depressing or daunting to be in the bad news business every day you go to work? So I'm going to ask you, Mark, you study the end of the world every day. Isn't that depressing?
Well, no, it's not, because ultimately I'm the ultimate optimist. I believe that Jesus Christ will come back someday to this world, and he will rule and he will reign over the earth. This earth is going to have conditions restored to it like the Garden of Eden. Jesus Christ will rule, he'll reign for 1,000 years, and then ultimately there will be a new heaven and a new earth, and there will be a new creation, and we will live with him for eternity if we have accepted Jesus Christ to be our Savior. So the ultimate news is good news for those who trust in Jesus Christ to be their Savior from sin. But yes, there is bad news for those who don't know him, who reject his message.
All right, how about a smile out of you then?
Okay.
Very good. All right, Mark Hitchcock, biblical scholar and author of Iran, the Coming Crisis. Mark, thanks for your time today. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
And when our in-depth look at the search for Satan continues, the lengths some people will go to avoid the number 666.